Hello everyone, it's Caro and I'm here today because I reached 100 subscribers on YouTube. I wanted to thank everyone so much for helping me get to this goal, and I know this is only just the beginning and I can't wait to see where we go from here. And as promised, here's the 100 sub Q&A video. Woohoo! So I asked all of you to comment on a YouTube upload from a few days ago and on Twitter regarding submitting questions, and I got a really good number of them. Some of them are really fun too, so we'll see where this goes. And like, I wanted to thank everyone for submitting questions, and I say this a lot, it's really appreciated. I'm just really thrilled with getting to 100 subs, and let's get this party started. Barney Mugger asks, what AEW wrestler do you think would thrive in WWE? And this wrestler cannot have already worked for the company. That's a really good question. I actually have a few wrestlers in mind. So one of my obvious answers is Darby Allin. I think his moveset is really flexible and athletic, and I think he would really thrive in NXT. I could definitely see him going up against like Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, a lot of the smaller athletes in the WWE. So that's obviously like one pick of mine. Another pick I had was Sammy Guevara. And I don't see Sammy Guevara just in NXT. I would actually like to see him on the main roster. So what I was thinking when I was thinking about this question was Sammy possibly being in a stable with Tyler Breeze and Fandango. He would fit perfectly with those two, just because of like how arrogant and smug Sammy can be. So I definitely see him being a SmackDown star. Obviously, you had the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and even Adam Page rumored to have gotten a contract offer with WWE a couple years ago before they decided to just start AEW. So who knows, and maybe in some alternate universe, the Young Bucks and the rest of the Elite would have succeeded on the roster. And yeah, that's pretty cool, Dan Jalek asks, do you feel the Sonic series should just focus on the modern side with 3D action, or should they focus on classic 2D games? I would like to say both could exist, but I'm not so sure. Yeah, so Sega's gone down this route for the past few years where they're like focusing on both sides, so modern Sonic, classic Sonic, they've collided in generations, there's Sonic Mania, Sonic Forces, etc. But honestly, I really think that focus depends on the next game. I feel like the next modern Sonic game, which we would have gotten an announcement by now, but because of understandable reasons with what's going on in the world, we just haven't heard anything yet. Like, I think the state of the franchise honestly hinges on that next Sonic game. I'm on the side where I consider Forces to be, like, not a bad game. I don't think Forces is terrible, but I don't think it's, like, amazing either. Sonic Forces is perfectly average. I think it's fine. The avatar system is pretty fun to deal with. But in terms of what Sega needed to do with the franchise during that time, I don't think it was the best game to put out, especially with modern Sonic. And a lot of comments that people have had with Sega in the past few years have been specifically with how modern Sonic has been treated. While I'm on the side of people who think that Lost World is actually pretty tolerable and Forces is kind of okay, I do agree that Sega really needs to step it up for the next game, because what I'm predicting is that if Sega doesn't really knock it out of the ballpark with the next modern Sonic game, we could just be focusing on classic Sonic from now on. Like, look at how well Sonic Mania did. Sonic Mania is one of my favorite Sonic games in a long time. I really love Sonic Mania, and with so much just being hinged on that next Sonic game, it's a super make or break situation. Sega could just focus on classic Sonic if modern Sonic doesn't do well, or they could keep going with modern Sonic but also like kind of beat him to the ground if they don't change anything. And that's kind of sad to think about. Sonic's a franchise I care about a lot and I want it to do well, but if Sega Sonic team, the teams that are making the games, don't really find a way to bring the fan base back, then we're kind of going to see a big split in the next few years, and that's kind of sad to think about. LCH Ime asks, Would you ever do a speed run of a game? And if so, what game would you speed run? That's actually a really fun question you ask, because a long time ago, I used to speed run Super Mario World. So I actually did like any percent runs. So if any of you don't know what that is, it's going through the first world and then using the donut land secret exits to automatically warp to like Bowser's Castle. So essentially you're going through the Star Road in order to get to the back door of Bowser's Castle, and I used to do that run all the time, like in high school. And I want to say that my personal best was, it was bad. I don't want to say it was like great. It's not AGDQ great, but it was around like 16 minutes, 17 minutes. But yeah, that was ages ago though. But if I had to pick a game that I would like to speedrun now, I really like Celeste. So that's one of my favorite platformers that I played in 2018. So I think Celeste would be good to play. I'm also really partial to Sonic Mania. I basically know that game like the back of my hand. So I think Sonic Mania would also be a great option for that. Mikoto's fan asks, why weren't you at the river? I don't know. Where were you on the night of November 9th, 2018? Shooting the bubblies with Gareth without me? I thought you were my friend. Thank you, Chris. Artistry Hard asks, I got a few questions for you. You like jazz? Does jazz like you? And do you agree that the next Sonic racing game should have drift in its name like Sonic Drift 1 or 2? Yes, I like jazz. I actually played saxophone in high school for the jazz band. Does jazz like you? I hope so. I hope I didn't bust a lot of reeds in high school. And for your third question, I don't know. I feel like if Sega has to go back to the Drift name, like, I could see Sonic Drift 3 totally being like a throwback game, like a 2D, sort of like the original Game Gear games. So not like the All-Stars Racing Transformed or Team Sonic games that we've been getting, but rather just a Game Gear like throwback retro game. I think that'd be really cool now that I think about it. Like, you could totally have like the original Sonic Drift cast, but you could also add Bean, Bark, and you could reunite Team Hooligan. Follow my idea, Sega. I really want them back. And like maybe you could even extend the cast by adding some newer characters. So you could add the Babylon Rogues, you could add Infinite. I love Infinite. I know a lot of people aren't really, partial to Infinite, but I like him a lot. I love Infinite. He's such a guilty pleasure villain. Jesus Adorno asks, favorite rock bands you like to listen to? It can be progressive metal, hard rock, etc. Yes, so my favorite musical band of all time is Muse. So Muse is a British alternative rock band, and I love how experimental they are with their music. So like, they do hardcore rock, they've messed around with like electronic music and especially classical music. There's a lot of classical orchestral motifs in a lot of Muse's songs. And I've seen that band at least 5 times live. I love seeing Muse. Muse is great. You should definitely listen to some of their music if you're looking for a new band to get into. Other favorite bands I like are My Chemical Romance. I've been into them since forever. Elementary school, middle school. One of the Black Parade came out 2006. Yeah, whenever that album came out. I like Daft Punk. I like Coldplay. Early Coldplay more specifically. I'm not super into like modern Coldplay, but Coldplay before Viva La Vida. I'll cut it off there. My music taste is like super out there. I don't listen to one particular genre. I listen to a lot of things. I always make the joke that 1 minute I could be listening to like video game music from Persona, and the next minute I'm listening to Taylor Swift music. So my music taste is super random and super out there. You'd be so confused by my Spotify playlist. Crackman241 asks, if some folks won't eat the end pieces of a loaf of bread because it's mostly crust, then how come they have no problem eating hamburger buns? I never really thought of that before. I think that question has the same logic of how come hot dogs come in packages of 8, but hot dog buns in packages of 10? And the answer to both of those questions is the world will never know. How many legs does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop? Rocky Bear 54 asks, what is your dream career? Yeah, so that's kind of a difficult question. In some ways, I'm kind of living it right now. So ever since I was a kid, I've been wanting to get into the education sector. And while I don't want to give too much information on like what exactly I do with education, I'm currently working in that field right now. And in some ways it's been rewarding. I work with a lot of great clients and students. And in other ways, it's just emotionally exhausting, but that's just the line of work I was expected to get into. So that's just kind of what I have to deal with. I would say if I had to pick any career outside of that, though, I'd like to talk about wrestling and video games for like a career. You know, I could do it for the rest of my life. There's so much content out there. I don't feel like I'd ever get tired of doing that. But hey, I don't know. Maybe this channel will blow up, maybe not. Who knows? Zelda Link Lover 1 asks, if Raymond is in boxes, Marshall is in the camp, Judy is in your town, and Audie is 1 Nook Miles ticket away, what is the circumference of the sun? I got you, girl. I got you. Let me solve this. I got your answer. 69 Audies. Edmund Zero asks, how did you and Clement meet? Ooh, I like this question a lot. So I realized that some of my audience might not know who Clement is. So for those people, Clement or Clement J64, here's his YouTube and here's his Twitter. Yeah, so he's one of my best friends. We've known each other for several years, and I've collabed a few times with him on his channel. So yeah, I can tell you how we met. So back in 2013, I fell out of the Sonic series. I wasn't feeling the heart and energy for it anymore, and I was looking to get back into Sonic. So one of the things I decided to do was I looked up Sonic 06 reviews on YouTube, and Clement just happened to be the first result. And I watched the entire 3-hour review in one sitting, and I subscribed after that, and I essentially became a big fan of his channel. Like, it was kind of ridiculous. I cannot, like, state this enough. It's kind of ridiculous how much of a fan I was, because I used to, like, draw doodles for his Let's Plays and just, like, be there at midnight for the first upload. It was kind of ridiculous, and I cringe at that. But yeah, basically, I added him a few times on Twitter, and he replied back every single time, and he followed me back, and we just kind of kept talking and talking and talking, and I also got close to FTCR and Brain Scratch at around the same time, so that was also another avenue in which I got to know him even more. And then we met up in Canada with Games Enlisted, another friend of ours, and yeah. So yeah, sorry if this isn't like the longest story ever, but that's basically a Cliff Notes version of how he and I met. So hopefully your needs are satiated. P1 Falcon asks, this won't ever happen, but if WWE and AEW ever had a show where it's WWE versus AEW, what's one match you would book? Personally, I would want to see the New Day versus the Elite. The promos between Kenny Omega and Xavier Woods would be amazing. That's a match I would absolutely love to see if there was a joint WWE AEW show. I like have such a guilty pleasure for fantasy booking. That's something I do in my head sometimes when I'm like bored. So I actually came up with more than one match for this question because I loved it a lot. The first match I would consider for this kind of event is Asuka versus Hikaru Shida, because I think those two like would work really well together. In fact, they did work in Japan. So I would love to see those two fight again on like a bigger mainstream stage. And obviously you have the Elite versus the New Day. They faced off in video games countless times before, but in an actual wrestling match, that would be super, super entertaining to see. Oh my God, that's like legit one of my dream matches, and I am not ashamed to say that. I could also see several AEW stars and NXT people in like a ladder match. So like you could also put a match like that in the card. I would like to see the Inner Circle fight another stable within WWE. I thought of the Inner Circle versus the Undisputed Era, but Forgotten Sons might be another interesting candidate. I would love to see the Inner Circle versus the Forgotten Sons. I also have a main event booked for this, so I'm thinking that for the main event of this show, it would be Seth Rollins versus Jon Moxley. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh, like, you could do so much meta stuff with Rollins versus Moxley, and the history between those two would definitely come into play there, and those two could pull off an amazing match together. Emma Lenga asks, Caro, which Persona remake has the worst revisions done to it? See, that's kind of a hard question because I think all the Persona remakes are fine. I would say re-releases more than remakes, but like Persona 3 FES was fine, Persona 4 Golden was fine. Persona 5 R I haven't played yet, but it's something I want to pick up someday. If I had to pick between the ones that I mentioned though, a part of me wants to say Golden because of Marie, and I'm not a big fan of Marie, but I don't know. I'm just gonna say that all the Persona re-releases are like equal and special in my heart, and I love Persona, and if you haven't played Persona, you should go play it. Hi, Daniel asks, besides the IWGP belts, what are your top 5 best looking favorite belt designs? Yeah, that's a really good question. So the one that obviously pops into my head is the WCW World Heavyweight title transferred over to WWE. I think that like belt is classic. I love how like distinct and like reputable it looks. It's a nice design that appealed to me when I was a kid, and I just think it looks nice. It's a sexy belt. It's a nice belt. You rocked it, Goldberg. You rocked it. Okay, the next belt that I thought of is kind of a guilty pleasure. The spinner belt. I don't care like how stupid it looks. I just love it. I love it for the fact that it is so stupid. Like it spins, and it was just so cool. It was the coolest thing to see when I was little because I was getting into John Cena at the time. And he would just come in with the spinning belt, and great. I love it. I miss the Ruthless Aggression era so much. I love how the NXT title looks. I love how it's just like simply the NXT logo, but it just looks so like heavy and important. I love the way it looks around Adam Cole, so definitely gonna say the NXT title as a contender for one of my favorites. Does the Fiend belt count? Like the Fiend belt that was like, you know, released a few months ago. I know it's like $2,800, but I just think it looks so cool. Like, look at this. It's so cool. Like if I had $3,000 to drop, which I don't, but if I had the money, I totally would. And then last but not least, the hardcore title. That's a classic one. Oh my gosh. The hardcore title just looks so cool. And it's like its own time capsule. Like it emphasizes the 90s and how extreme and edgy and over the top it was. I miss it. I miss the hardcore title so much. SilverGreg78 asks, did anyone get around to telling the Backstreet Boys why? Tell me why ain't nothing but a heartbreak. Tell me why. Can you tell the Backstreet Boys why pineapple goes on pizza? Because breaking news, pineapple goes on pizza, and if you disagree with me, you can just leave. I'm doing the Aubrey Edwards leave. Omega1234 asks, what was the first video game you ever played? It was Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for me. So one day my dad came home with a Sega Genesis. It was my first video game console ever, and it came with a Barbie game, Muggsy Bugsy. I don't know. It's the weird orange like platformer mascot. I forget what it's called. I can't think it off the top of my head. Ren and Stimpy's Invention, and Sonic 2 and 3. And I played Sonic 2 first. So Sonic 2 counts as my first video game, and that's when I fell in love with Sonic. Yeah, it's kind of funny that my first video game ever was a Sonic game, and one of my favorite franchises is Sonic. So it just kind of goes in full circle, I guess. That's kind of sweet. I love Sonic 2. I don't like it as much as Sonic 3. In fact, Sonic 3 is my favorite video game of all time, including the Knuckles expansion. So the complete Sonic 3 and Knuckles is what I'm talking about. But Sonic 2 is still a really classic game, and I like going back to it sometimes. Shellshock Prime asks, when you meet Kenny Omega, would you get him for an interview on your YouTube channel? Haha, meeting Kenny Omega. You're so funny. I don't know. I feel like I don't have the media experience yet to ask Kenny, or let alone any wrestler, for an interview. That's outside of the scope of what I want to do on YouTube or just in general. But if given the opportunity, I guess, yeah, I think it'd just be fun. I just simply want to like meet the person one day. Marto27 asks, what is your favorite Mario RPG game? Mine is Super Mario RPG. Mine's is like a pretty basic answer. I'm just gonna say the Thousand Year Door because I played that a lot on my GameCube, and I also played the original Paper Mario and Super Paper Mario. Believe it or not, I actually haven't played Mario RPG. Don't kill me. I know I haven't played it. I need to. I really want to play Super Mario RPG. I've heard nothing but good things about it. That's something in the backlog that I'll have to get to one day. But yeah, Thousand Year Door. It's great. Sam Green asks, which WWE and AEW wrestlers would you like to see get more TV time? That's a really good question. So on the WWE side, a lot of them have been released. I know, it's so sad. A lot of the wrestlers I wanted to see get more TV time have been released. So like the Revival, the Revolt, whatever you want to call them, like they've been released already. So I wish they would have gotten more respect than they got in the WWE. Other wrestlers that I thought would have gotten more TV time are Drew Gulak. And Drew Gulak is another relevant example because he's also gone too, but I was going to applaud WWE for using him a lot more on TV. I loved his role with Daniel Bryan, and it's kind of sad to see that go now. On the AEW side, definitely Sonny Kiss. So Sonny Kiss has been in a lot of AEW dark matches, and I think he's immensely entertaining, and I would just love to see him in more matches on the main Dynamite show. Scorpio Sky is another name. Like, I know Scorpio Sky has teamed up with, like, SCU, and he had the program with Jericho last year, but I really want to see more of him in singles action on TV. I think Scorpio Sky is immensely talented, and he's in the Casino Ladder match this Saturday, so that made me really happy. I'm really looking forward to seeing Scorpio Sky in that match. Nairman BSC asks, why is Dr. Rabbit the world's only rabbit? The same reason why Raymond Animal Crossing is the world's only kitty. MK17 asks, are you going to do Let's Plays or reviews or something a little bit different on your channel? And thank you so much for congratulating me on the 100 subs. I appreciate it. So this channel, I want a lot of it to focus on pro wrestling because it's just something that I wanted to branch out into for a long time. I've always gotten the itch to do it, but I was either always in school or lacked money. And now that I'm out of school and have money, I can do this. And that's not to say that video game stuff will never pop up on this channel. I've been thinking of some ways to incorporate that onto here. Like, I really want to show off my Animal Crossing town at some point because it's 5 stars and it's beautiful and I love all my villagers and I really want to show that off to y'all. And maybe like some one-off videos. I don't know. It just depends on what I feel like I'm in the mood to talk about regarding video games. So TLDR, it's going to be mostly pro wrestling, but I wouldn't rule anything involving gaming out the window. I definitely want to incorporate some gaming in here. Rochelle Gonzalez asks, will you ever be doing a commentary playthrough of Sonic Schoolhouse featuring Clement? Rochelle, I feel your pain. I know you want this just as much as I do. I want this more than anyone because I think Clement needs to have a Sonic Schoolhouse commentary on his channel so that his retrospective is complete, because I will consider his retrospective incomplete if he never does Sonic Schoolhouse. But yeah, really, it's honestly up to him. I don't know if he's even in the mood of wanting to do it on his channel. And wait, I have my own YouTube channel now. Creepy Elliot asks, we all know you love wrestling, Animal Crossing, and Sonic. My question is, who shot Tupac Shakur? Elliot, quiet. And last but not least, Hi Daniel asks, Now another non-wrestling question. You call yourself the tea queen. How is it that you got invested in tea, and what is your favorite? Yeah, so if you follow my Twitter account, you'll see numerous selfies of me drinking bubble tea. I miss bubble tea a lot. It doesn't help that I'm stuck inside all the time, but at least when life was normal, I would get bubble tea literally every weekend. I love drinking bubble tea and just tea in general. I guess it's something that goes back to when I was a kid, because my dad used to make ginger tea a lot for me and my brothers, and he would put like some herbal stuff in there, some ginger, some lemon, and it just put me right to sleep. And my mom loves drinking tea too. She'll get like green tea from the store. So I would have to credit my love for tea drinking to my parents. They're lovely people, and they've raised a child with great taste. And yeah, those are pretty much all the questions that I got. Thank you so much again to everyone who submitted a question. It was a lot of fun doing this. And who knows, maybe we'll reach 200 or 1,000 or 100,000 or a million. I don't know. Those last two will probably never happen. It's just really great to have this space where I can talk about wrestling and my other interests. It's something that I never imagined I'd be able to do 10 years ago. And it's just really nice to have that space now. So again, thanks so much for watching. This will be a busy week, so Double or Nothing is this Saturday. We have AEW coming up soon. So if you like AEW and wrestling news, you can hit the subscription button below. You can like this video. You can share it. Whatever. Do what you need to do. But more importantly, I hope that you drink water. Stay hydrated, my friends. Drink your water.